yesterday evening we had lovely starting session of this weekend retreat where we prayed our own nature, our own true nature, and expressed prayers for clarity, for love and kindness, and then love felt in the body. And these three qualities I always teach like this, according to in Buddhist there is a term trikaya, which means literally three bodies. And these three kayas, these three bodies, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, they are related to the three pure centers. Three khandas, they're called khandas in Sanskrit. Khanda. Khanda literally means place where the sugar is, located. So three sugars, three caramels. My favorite incense is, I've been kind of, it's a hobby of mine, incense. And it's been a hobby of mine for over 20 years. And I have really good incense, but my most favorite incense, I have incense in a incense holder, this cup, and I fill them with sugar. Not sand, not rice, but sugar. And always when a stick of incense, when it burns down, it burns some of that sugar. And what is released into the room is the smell of burnt sugar, which is the smell of caramel. That's actually my favorite incense. So I've been thinking of, I don't know if anybody makes incense out of sugar, but somebody should, because it's a delicious smell, it's really good. So these three khandas, these three pure centers, about the size of your own fist, a little bit smaller than the size of your fist, in the middle of the head, then inside the chest, in the middle there, and then inside the belly, like directly behind the navel there. So three khandas. In Taoism they speak of three dantians. So yesterday we did the session based on these characteristics, qualities of our true nature that are directly linked to our subtle anatomy and these three centers specifically. So head center, the khanda in the head, it's the seat of causal body. Khanda in the heart, the seat of the astral body. Khanda in the belly, the seat of the physical body. And they aren't really, I wouldn't call them chakras, because chakras function a bit differently. Although I use the word center, when I say pure centers, they are like pure areas. But having said that, even if they are pure, it doesn't mean that they are active. So they might be passive even if they're pure. Okay? So this means that these need to be activated. We need to start, kind of reignite those centers. Just like we need to activate the rest of the subtle bodies. Causal body, astral body, physical tissues. These need to be activated. Activated how? It means bringing awareness to all these three bodies. Bringing that, mainly clarity in the causal body, then mainly love, kindness, compassion in the astral body, and then groundedness, like it's like wakeful groundedness, wakeful settledness into the physical tissues. And we hear this all the time in different spiritual teachings, meditation teachings, Dharma teachings, right? We hear about this all the time, bringing awareness, recognizing awareness and bringing it to body, and so on and so on. But there's lots of details about this that are very useful to know, which speeds up the process of getting it done. I don't know how long it took Guru Padmasambhava to realize emptiness of all phenomena, which means to perfect his causal body, bhumis. But he told me once that it took him 14 years after emptiness to, in simple terms, bring awareness into the astral body and physical body, which means to come, to develop, to reveal his body of light. 14 years. So, quite a while, but still, Guru Rinpoche is an excellent example of practice. So even though it sounds like it's relatively long time, 14 years, there are so many practitioners, yogis, yoginis, in countless traditions who never get there, who never get to bringing awareness, establishing awareness in their astral and physical bodies. And what makes a difference? It makes a huge difference how we apply the practices, how we understand the underlying principles, how we actually technically apply our mantras, visualizations, and so on. And this is something that I have always been very specific, given lots of details, and also spoken about my own experiences, which I've encouraged my students to do, because we need to know exactly what we are doing, right? We need to know exactly what we are doing. So kind of making our internal yoga practice kind of like scientific, taking a scientific analytical approach to internal practice, which is exactly what Buddha Shakyamuni told his followers to do. So sit in a good upright posture. The posture of a sitting Buddha. Let energies flow. Relax the physical tissues, relax your physical body, so that, energies of the physical body can start flowing freely, instead of, if you hold some tension in the shoulders, if you subconsciously tense your belly, if you subconsciously tense your butt or genitals, you need to let all those relax. Or you might subconsciously squeeze with your jaws. All that, relaxing it, and you can consequentially see that there's an instant increase in well-being. Because you're allowing energies to flow freely. And same thing with the mind. You know, yogic literature or Buddhist literature, they often just use the term mind, chitta, for things related with the mind and psyche. But we are talking about the function of thinking, thoughts, the function of feeling, emotions. So all of that, thought energy, emotional energy, physical energy, let all of it play freely as it wants. And here there are so many Mahasiddhas from Mahamudra and Mahasandhi traditions who say that, you know, forget about exalted states of meditation. Don't seek to access like some special spiritual state or exalted heavenly state of meditation. So don't be attached to some thought, which is an expectation. Don't be attached to some expectation. See, if you sit down and even if you relax, but you have this underlying expectation that I want to experience a very clear non-meditation. Or, you know, in this session I'm really aiming to having a Bhumi event. Okay? Making it more relevant to Amrita Mandala practice. If you have such an expectation, it means that you're attached to a thought. And that means that your thought energy is not flowing completely. You might still have some flow when you are allowing free flow, but if you have an expectation, you are, you know, messing up your own practice with this. And especially, you know, when we are stressed, something has happened to us today. I didn't get my bloody car from the car shop because the guy was a prick and told me that I could pick it up, but I didn't get it. You know, whatever might have caused us stress today, this week, this month, this year. That might also be, such factors might be there lurking. Okay, I will sabotage Michael's, Sangita's, Kripa's, Jarmo's practice. That's what it does. And of course, it is a challenge. The more personal the stuff is, you know, if it's something that somebody who you don't like so much told you something, and then you react to it, and then you sit down now, and it's there lingering in the back, in your mind, in your energy. doesn't matter. You have to learn to let go of it. Doesn't mean that you have to forget it, but at this present moment, to best serve your spiritual practice, you have to learn to let anything flow. Why? So that you can recognize your true nature. But it's also a good question, speaking of stress, what kind of lifestyle we have. Because if we do too many things, if we are too active in whatever ways, it will affect us, it will scatter our energy. If we are too active to doing things, of course it is understandable that, if we have small children, some of you have small children, I've experienced that too, having two children, that I don't know if it's I don't think it is possible to avoid, when kids are small, this experience that your energy gets scattered because your attention is constantly how to say hijacked by your little kids and all the other things you have to take care of when you have little kids. But my point is that apart from that period in life when you have small children, then it is good to think what kind of lifestyle we have. If we have too many things to do, too many distractions, or if we can keep a balance, if it's healthy or not, because it concerns our health as well. When energy gets scattered, when it keeps getting scattered over a longer period of time, it means that there is lots of strain on the body. So when you have a life like that for months or years, the body starts showing signs that it cannot take it, because the energy is constantly scattered and the body can't take it. And then illnesses show up. So it's good to think about such things. So then, a little bit from Mahayana, Bodhisattva, Bodhicitta perspective. So it's, let's say, Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. You've done your day of work. You have fed your kids or have taken whatever responsibilities or chores you have to take care of, and it's time for practice at home. And then you sit down in your meditation seat, you light a stick of incense, and perhaps a candle, light up a candle in your home altar, which is what you should have. You should have an altar at home. But you're there sitting, and then you feel like, I'm just sitting here alone in this small meditation space at your home. Maybe you have a separate room for it, or maybe it's just a corner in your living room, but it feels like you're isolated, alone. This experience means that there is no recognition of the natural state. which means that we are disconnected from all life, which means that we don't have bodhicitta. Remember this. When you feel disconnected, alone, even if it might feel like, I'm just sitting here drilling these practices from one day to the next, but it kind of feels like, I don't know if this works, I don't know. This means that you are not recognizing your true nature, which is what bodhicitta is. Bodhicitta both is our true nature, but it is also a prayer, an exercise. That's why we say to generate bodhicitta, to generate the heart of compassion. So remember, if you have that feeling, I don't know, I have the time for practice, but I don't know, something is off. That's your problem. So what then? Then you remind yourself of this bodhicitta motivation, which is that there is something called bodhisattva vows. Bodhisattva vows is a very, very important thing in Mahayana and Tantrayana. And bodhisattva vows, bodhicitta means that, first of all, we want to know ourselves fully. We want to remove all these kleshas, all these inner afflictions, inner obstructions, delusions, negative habits and patterns. We want to remove all of it, which in other words means we want to attain so-called Buddhahood. This phrase, attaining Buddhahood, it's actually completely misleading because, in the sense that when Buddhahood is attained, it doesn't mean like we acquire or obtain this Buddha nature, as if we, acquire a new TV or a new car or a new smartphone. We don't acquire it in that sense. It means that we remove the inner obstacles, the afflictions. And because we already have Buddha nature, that's what is left. So that's what attaining Buddhahood means. But we want to attain this Buddhahood to benefit everybody, to benefit others, to benefit our cat, our dog, our spouse, our children, our friends, our parents, our brothers and sisters, our aunts and uncles, and all the relatives, even those relatives who are dead. We want to benefit with our realization of Buddhahood, the blades of grass outside, the bushes, the trees, the rivers, the air, the earth, the animals, even little bugs, tiny frogs, birds, beasts, all animals, flora and fauna. But we also want to benefit all human beings. Neighbors, people who we meet at the grocery shop or coffee cafeteria, workmates, everybody, people of our village, city, country, continent, all continents. We want to benefit all beings, all sentient beings. This is our motivation. So we want to attain this Buddhahood to help, liberate, support others. And even saying this simple prayer, expressing this thought, it's an interesting thing. You cannot get fed up with that. It's very interesting. You can take any thought of mundane things, any mundane idea, and if you start repeating it, at some point you feel like, oh man, I can't. It's you get fed up with it. But it's a very interesting thing that when you express this motivation of bodhicitta, that you are doing, committing to practices, internal yoga practice, to reach Buddhahood for the liberation of everybody else, you cannot get bored with that idea. At least I haven't. Why? Because it is a sacred idea. It is not a mundane idea. It is not just another thought, just another idea. It is sacred. It is pure. Of course, sometimes we might have a dark night, which makes us say, well, fuck all sentient beings and fuck all this practice. But this is just, momentary. It's humorous, isn't it? Sometimes we get pissed off about anything and everything that, But really getting fed up, that doesn't really happen when we generate bodhicitta. And this is something that Buddhist Dharma tradition is actually very young. It is only roughly 2,500 years old, which is very, very young. But even before, long before Buddha Dharma or Buddhism developed into its own thing, there was the Sanatana Dharma, Sanatana or Sanatana, which is commonly known Hinduism. So Sanatana means eternal, eternal teaching. And in Hinduism, in Sanatana Dharma, this same idea is there. Wishing happiness, liberation to all beings. And that's been there for tens of thousands of years. It's not that difficult, Maybe 100,000 years ago there has been, and there actually has been, I know that, but, if we kind of hypothetically think about this, that when there has been a shaman or a hermit 100,000 years ago anywhere, and they've been sitting there in their little huts and caves, it's not that difficult in such circumstances to realize, for the thought occur that if I pray for the good of all beings, it will instantly change how you see yourself and see the world. It will create a shift in your perception. So I think that even before Hinduism and Buddhism, all these modern and, let's say, recent religions and traditions, I think many people knew this and understood this and exercised this. Just like we are exercising, using that thought, idea of universal love, compassion and care in our practice, in our home, in that little room where you practice or corner of your home where you practice, we apply it. So may all beings be happy. May all beings be loved. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be healed. Because all the healing power, love and happiness is in them already. May our neighbors be blessed, healed, loved. Each one of them, you can go through them in your mind briefly. May our neighbors, pets, be healed, loved, be happy. May our neighbors' homes be blessed. With happiness, with love, with kindness, with sobriety. The thing is that, we get stuck and we become deluded because we get caught and trapped into these various ideas and concepts. And that's how we limit ourselves. We get deluded and we get limited because of these delusions and getting trapped in certain concepts. And then if we think that, okay, I'm wishing love and kindness and compassion to others, does it mean that this energy is kind of, I'm generating that energy and will it run out? Will my body battery run out of energy if I wish it for others? No, but our body battery does run out the more we think in selfish, deluded terms, isn't it? We wear ourselves out on daily basis. The more selfish thoughts we have, the more we are caught with stress, the more we are caught with self-delusion that is built around the notion of separate self, me, I-ness, me-ness, right? It's very easy to get tired and worn out in our daily life, the more we think in those terms. But the thing with true nature and its qualities is that, well, our body does get tired, if we generate a strong charge because of our habits and patterns. The body has limitations, sets limitations how long we can sustain it. And then we might be, depending how pure our system is or how much stuff there still is to work through, we might be able to sustain it for 15 minutes or half an hour, hour and a half. But then if our mind and psyche energetics are still samsaric, there will become a point when we get tired. But that's a different thing I'm meaning. So when we generate, like we just did, bodhicitta for our neighbors, their homes, people around us, we are tapping into limitless power source, which is what our nature is. We are tapping into, that's the thing with God and Buddha nature. You know, when we speak of Buddha nature, and if we might get stuck with thought that, okay, you are practicing, cultivating, recognizing your Buddha nature, and I'm cultivating, recognizing my Buddha nature, and everybody has their own Buddha nature. Kind of thinking, kind of like separate islands of Buddha natures. And in one sense it is true, we have our own individuality, our memories, experiences, and we have our own Buddha nature. But so does everybody else. Everybody and everything else. There is no such thing as separate islands, separate Buddha natures. It's all one Buddha nature, one divinity. Seamless divinity. Without seams, without separating edges. So when we are recognizing, when we are generating bodhicitta, when we are recognizing our nature, it is the totality of life. Totality of life is expresses itself through form and vitality. Your form, my form, the form of my tea mug, the form of your pets, anything, life forms. And there's vitality, energy to make that life possible, make those forms possible. So that's why when you tap into it, the energy doesn't run out. And it's a very easy to miss the most important thing for spiritual practitioners, which is that you might be repeating mantras in your mind day and night, but you might be missing this totality. You might be missing what the mantra is trying to tell you. Right? Lots of mantrics, tantrics have this problem, that they just repeat stuff in their minds and they miss the blessings, miss the basic nature that appears through the mantra with the help of the mantra. So don't become like a parrot that merely repeats mantras or mudras or practices. We need to understand practice better. And you do, because I've been talking about this for years, right? But many don't. On regular basis, people who might be practicing for 30, 40, even 50 years with great lamas write me and tell me that, oh, from your videos I first learned that there's a blessing coming from bodhicitta prayers or from guru mantras, from any mantras. But any mantra, any prayer is extremely precious because they all have the power to reveal our true nature. They all have the power to return us, to reveal us as totally wakeful beings, pure beings. Isn't that amazing? That such such understanding, such possibility exists. It means that we don't need to remain deluded. We don't need to remain in pain, in hurt. We don't need to keep experiencing the negative memories, the hurtful memories of something that has happened in the past. We don't need to. Therefore, those people who feel the calling of spirituality, dharma, yoga, are limitlessly blessed. So, for the sake of all sentient beings, may all beings be loved, may all beings be held. Everybody is looking for love, happiness, joyfulness, these extremely simple things. Everybody is looking, from little child to 100-year-old seniors. Everybody is looking for that. So may they have it. And may each one of us live our lives, conduct our lives in a way that we can help people to find it. This is not complex. This is not the foreign religion of Buddhism from Asia. This is not some 5,000-year-old Hindu Himalaya thing, right? We're talking about universal nature of Dharma, universal nature of spirituality. We are talking about happiness, love, sobriety, clarity, health, groundedness that everybody wants. there definitely is lot to do when communicating the Dharma to the world outside Asia. You know, that idea, that thought, that with the help of some practices or with the help of a spiritual method, we could fully heal our trauma-based negativity and selfishness, and that we could remove the causes of delusion. This basic idea is not part of our Western culture. There is no understanding of like internal cultivation, internal practices. There is a little bit of that, like a kind of related to religion, although then affected by religious views, dogmatic views. There's a little bit of that from psychology, but like proper, full understanding doesn't exist in Western culture, which means that our neighbors, people of our villages and cities, do not know that it is possible to enlighten ourselves. It is possible to, how to say, light up the candle, figuratively speaking. And I think that the Asian traditions are not doing a very good job in communicating this message to the global world. But we are talking about something that everybody seeks. Different matter, of course, whether people want to take up practice and keep doing, commit to a practice. That's a different matter. But at least people should know. So may all beings, all people of this world, alive now, those future generations who are yet to take rebirth in human form, may this message of spirituality, dharma, yoga reach them. May all of them, all humans, learn about spiritual methods that lead them to awakening and enlightenment, to bodhi, to sambodhi. So one thing is to do our practice. Another, or an aspect to doing our practice, is the compassionate concern of others. Loving concern of others. There was a kind of funny question in the Facebook Sangha a couple of days ago. I think it was Will from UK who asked it. He asked that what is the best way to talk to people about Amrita Mandala practice? What is the best way to tell them? And okay, it's one sense it's a good question, but I think the best way is to do that through your own example. From the peace, love, and groundedness, non-verbally communicated for others. It is transmitted, it is communicated when you look the person into their eyes. When you are present with the person. It is communicated how you shake their hands, hug them, the way how you sit with them over coffee table. Right? And when we generate bodhicitta, don't keep other beings, your neighbors, villagers, the dwellers of your city, people of your country, continent, whole planet, don't keep them at arm's length. Don't hold them away from you. If you do that, it's kind of like that self-sabotaging thought of your practice, like expecting something that I mentioned earlier. You let energies flow freely, and then you generate bodhicitta, and then you are just open. Like I always say, doors and windows open, figuratively speaking. Doors and windows of a building open so that air can breathe through. So if you keep, you know, the energy, the thought of your neighbor at arm's length, kind of holding them away, then you are stuck with your samsaric ideas and habits. That's not at all different from selfish thoughts. But then what happens when if you are holding all beings because they are messed up, screwed up, they are scary, they are make you feel anxious, right? Of course, that's what samsaric beings are. But when you put your arms down, when you open your heart, open your energy, see what happens then. It's not the small, limited, self-centered, selfish person who is doing this, but what is revealed is our true nature. So there is a shift. And that shift will heal you and awaken you. It will remove whatever fear, anxiety we might have of others. And if that doing that sounds so scary, you get so anxious that it makes your, hands shake. It tightens your belly because you get so anxious. Makes your legs limp like cooked spaghetti. Just throw yourself into it. Just do it. Just open up. To hesitate, to be doubtful, to be scared is very much part of this practice and the journey of practice. But please don't make your spiritual practice just like a enhanced form of your samsara, of your pain. Don't replace rusty shackles with golden shackles. And there is no special vision to be had, no special experience to be had. Just clear head, soft heart, settled body. Totally clear, totally soft and loving, totally settled. So when there is a strong blessing from God within, Guru within, from our true self, from our true nature, what happens, technically speaking? We likely have fewer thoughts when blessings increase, but that's not really that important. Of course, it gives a little rest from thoughts, especially when modern folks we are so stuck in the head, so stuck with compulsive thinking. I mean that thinking goes on and on and on and on. But what happens in our energy, in our being? It's like, we, how do you say, we perceive ourselves through our bodies and our habits, our mental, emotional, psychological habits. We perceive ourselves through these habits of our mind and our physical existence, through our physical bodies. Right? This is how we perceive, feel, see, think ourselves. Right? And then what happens in our mind? Minds is thinking, feeling, remembering, thought association. So we have thoughts, feelings, memories. These thoughts, feelings, and memories are like bubbles appearing, lasting, and disappearing in the space of our mind, isn't it? Like bubbles floating there in the mental, emotional space. Right? Do you understand? Bubbles, like three-dimensional bubbles. Also, our physical body is three-dimensional. Height, width, depth. Our physical body is 3D. Our thoughts, emotions, all that stuff that we have problems with, is also three-dimensional. Our aura is three-dimensional. Causal body is three-dimensional. Our astral body is three-dimensional. Our physical body is three-dimensional. So with our mind, non-physical bodies, and physical body, we are in 3D. But what happens when we, in this case, generated bodhicitta properly, we did it several times, really dug deep through our physical and non-physical bodies with the help of bodhicitta. What follows? What happens to the 3D? What happens to that perception that is usually associated or even stuck with three-dimensional existence? What happens to it? It loosens. It disappears. That kind of perception, poof, gone. Right? Stuck with the bubbles, mental bubbles, emotional bubbles, physical bubbles, that stuckness, that kind of perception is gone. And we have a different kind of perception of ourselves, which is not stuck in 3D, not stuck in time, in the passing of time either. So the body is felt, is perceived differently, and the mind, the psyche is perceived, seen differently. How exactly? I suggested that it's not, built or set in 3D. I am actually, when it comes to science and such things, I'm totally clueless. But I think zero-dimensional is a good term to what happens. Our basic nature is zero-dimensional. Zero-dimensional. This basic awareness, this sobriety, clarity, which is selfless. Although many Mahasandhi, Chokchen and Mahamudra texts, they speak of space. Space. The term space suggests that there is like a sky-like or room-like space. When we use the term space, we think of room, a big hall, or perhaps a sky. Many of these texts, they speak of, what do they say? Yeah, like sky, likeness with sky, sky-like space. But this is a bit misleading. It is not a three-dimensional space, like a room or a big hall. Lots of people, lots of meditators of today and in the past have gotten stuck with this, misled by this, thus failing to recognize their own nature, which technically speaking is zero-dimensional. So this basic nature, you don't start thinking of, width, depth, height, or passing of time. I think passing of time is the fourth dimension. It's the collapsing of all those dimensions. Collapsing of them. Collapsing of samsara, which means being stuck in 3D. So when we have an awakening experience, Bhumi event, the reason why there's a shift is because in the place of former delusion, there is an insight, seeing into this true nature, which is selfless, which is not in 3D, it's in 0D. That's why it changes. That's why it's such a sought after medicine for spiritual seekers. And gradually, through the Bhumi process, the 13 Bhumis, this causal body, the subtlest of the subtle bodies, the three that was stuck in 3D, it gradually dissolves into this zero-dimensional awareness. Same thing with the astral body, also stuck in 3D in samsaric mode. This fear is a very three-dimensional emotion, anxiety, 3D, guilt, greed, selfishness, all in 3D. And even though the astral body, meridian system, is so close to the physical body, because it is in the form of the physical body, it dissolves into zero-dimensional true nature. And again, same with the third body, physical body. So the habits, patterns, perceptions based on a self dissolving into the zero-dimensional true nature, Buddha nature, God's presence, God's nature. That's what happens, technically speaking. And this is what, when we have a strong charge and then samadhi follows, like samadhi means that there is so much spiritual energy, Shakti, that it just sucks all of you into it. It sucks all of you into it. It sucks the 3D out of you, and then you experience this three-dimensional mental, emotional, zero-dimensional experience. So this means that when we speak of our true nature and its qualities, we can speak about it, communicate through concepts, descriptions, verbal concepts, verbal descriptions, like I'm doing all the time. But I'm speaking about something that goes beyond logic and reason. So this is good to know, kind of necessary to know, so that when we are practicing non-meditation, or when we go into samadhi, get embraced by pure spiritual energy, it's good to know these basic things, so that we understand, we have a theory that supports our experience. This is always necessary, always. It's necessary to have the so-called right, correct view of practice, right theory. And it is exactly that association, recognition of this original nature that when a person gets familiar with it, it changes, makes significant changes in the mind of a person, in the psyche of a person. Awakenings change person. Emotional healing changes person. The energy of such a person changes. Alright, let's lie down for perhaps 10 minutes. Lie down.